near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves.
Hey everybody, this is Tik Tok Tina from Near Mint Condition, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing of Delicious in Dungeon. It's the complete box set collecting volumes 1 through 14. Welcome back everybody, and before we get started, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Yin Press for sending us this box set of Delicious in Dungeon. Now guys, let's get this open. Alright guys, now that we've got this box out of the plastic, we're going to take a look at this. And as it's spinning around, I just want to point out that this box set contains all 14 volumes of Delicious in Dungeon, and it retails at $225. So that's $225 USD. This box replicates a mimic. So if you're familiar with D&D or you've already watched the anime or read all these volumes, you're very familiar with a mimic and how delicious, or perhaps not delicious, a mimic actually is. Let's take a closer look at all these sides because we've got these nice little mushrooms, some dungeon monsters. We've got a logo on the back, a more advanced dungeon monster, and of course the mimic itself when you open it up. So it's like a treasure chest. When you open it up, unfortunately it's no treasure, or is it treasure? Because you might want to eat this guy, at least within the Delicious in Dungeon. You might just want to snack on this guy. And then I'm going to lift it up, and you can see what the boiled mimic actually looks like. So, oh, that's so sweet. I didn't realize that it actually had this originally. Like, it has the ingredients, the mimic, upper body, claws, legs, salt, serves 4. That's an excellent touch. I just sort of love this picnic. When we actually open it up, you can see all 14 volumes, and there is an extra in here. Let me go ahead and pull this out. It is a poster. Wow. This is actually a pretty big poster, so I'm not going to be able to show you the whole thing in one go, but it is all the creatures that they encounter in Delicious in Dungeon with their specific names. So that's pretty cool. I love that it actually has this. And then there are some spoilers if you haven't read this, so I don't want to say anything. It is absolutely fantastic to have all this information on a nice poster. Let's actually get these manga out. I want to see if there's anything special on the inside of this box. All right, so it does have Delicious in Dungeon in the back, and then we have a mushroom. So nothing spectacular, but I always do love when they added a little background in the back instead of just white, which some box sets just do. So this is a nice touch still. Excuse me. Let's also take a look at the bottom. That's something I didn't show you. So it shows you right here, 225. It's got the UPC, and then it shows that it does collect volumes 1 through 14. And then something I didn't point out yet is the fact that this closes with magnets up here, and then magnets with the mimic. So it's a nice touch that this, you know, will keep itself together by magnets. You don't have to like keep it closed or position it weird on your shelf. So we're done with this part. Let's actually get into the manga itself. All right, so we're going to look at each of these beautifully drawn covers. And I just want to point out, so Delicious in Dungeon is by Ryoko, and they do fantastic artwork. Thank you. Oh, look at this. I cannot decide on which volume is actually my favorite cover. because these are so expressive. The color is so gorgeous. I just love how dynamic a lot of these covers are with their disposition. Like, look at this. And if you've never read this, I mean, you're not gonna be spoiled by anything on these covers, but looking at this, I'm just like, oh, it's this character. It's this character. Oh, that's a kind of a secret. Oh, and it is fantastic. Now, when I originally got into the series, I didn't think it was going to go as hard as it actually went. So let's actually take a look at the inner artwork. And like I said, if you haven't picked up Delicious in Dungeon, you are absolutely missing out. At first, when I was reading it, I thought it was just sort of a slice of life, like a dungeon expose of food. You know, like a foodie's dream of eating in a dungeon. Just all these mythical creatures, these weird monsters. I mean, essentially, that's what it is on the surface. But this gets a little darker, a little bit deeper as you go into it. We meet basically the main protagonists of Leos, Marcel, Chilchuk, and a character that is and has been living in the dungeon for most of his life, Shinshi. And of course, they're like dwarves, there are half people, there are elves, and they call them a little bit different in this manga. They're not like halflings or hobbits, or they all have a different name. And you kind of get to meet these characters, kind of get a feel for what they will and what they won't do, where their boundaries are, especially with the elf, because at first she does not want to eat any of these creatures. She's like, absolutely not. This is horrible. This is disgusting. I would not touch, I would not eat these. And as you're getting to know these characters, getting to find their boundaries, you're also getting a little bit of a backstory on these characters, about their lives, about their families, because you really just, of course, it's a adventure party. You're not really thinking too deep with adventure party, or especially like them eating these little monsters, until you get further into these volumes. So let's go skip a little bit ahead, and I don't want to spoil you guys too much on what goes on, but there is several different things that they are fighting against. There's the dungeon, there's the monsters, and then it's kind of an eternal struggle between the party and their own personal desires or their own biases. They're trying to save the main character, Laos's sister, trying to resurrect her, because here's one thing I will give away. You can resurrect people within the dungeon, but resurrection magic doesn't really exist outside of the dungeon, which is really unique. I loved that aspect of this manga because it sets to place boundaries. What's going on in this world internally within the dungeon is completely separate than what is going on outside of the dungeon. It's a completely different world. There are different, I guess, layers to this. There's also layers to the dungeon, which they talk about explicitly, about the biome, the nature, just how everything affects everything within a dungeon. Like if you take away a big monster, then bigger monsters come up. You didn't realize that this big monster was actually keeping much scarier things hidden down below. And it's that sort of complete world that this mangaka has built that is just so amazing. And I'm starting to get into spoilers on this, but this, is fantastic. I absolutely love this artwork. I love the world that this mangaka has built, because you go on to find there's actually other dungeons, and dungeons aren't just dungeons. They're basically an embodiment of a creature itself. And I'm almost spoiling it without spoiling it for you guys. But do yourself a big favor and check this out. If you're not sure you're quite into it, check it out of your library. But I really would suggest, if you are not collecting this, collect it. It is on my shelf. I love this so much. I wish they would come out with a hardcover volume of this. I love this collected edition. I love this box set. And I really want to see it get more star status or more treatment, like a hardcover book, artwork, some colorization. I absolutely adore this completely. So I wanted to point out that some of these do have little extras, which are nice. It kind of gives you little side stories or little glimpses in, sort of like a miscellaneous, story. These are $15 each if you're getting them by themselves, which comes out to about $2.10. But I do want to say this does include a poster and an excellent case to keep them in at $2.25. So just to point out, this does have translation for the sound effects. They have the original sound effects and then what it actually means, which is really nice if you don't understand Japanese. They do have, on some of these volumes that need it, some translation notes. So if you're not quite sure what a saying that has been translated from a Japanese saying to an English saying, what it exactly means, they do guide you or give you some help. And the pages themselves, they're not too thin. Like, you don't get a lot of bleed through. There's maybe a little bit, but it's really, like, I can't really tell when I'm looking through just reading it. So it's not bad at all. It is slightly thicker, not too thick, and it doesn't feel like that cheap, just everyday manga. So I really actually enjoy this. It's nice, clear. The black is black. It's not gray. So it's actually a really nicely done print. I did also forget to point out is the rating. This is rated teen with language and violence. So just be aware it does have a little bit of language and violence. It is rated for teens. Honestly, it's not bad at all. I would let my kids read this for the most part. Maybe 10 and up. But that, as they say, is that. If you guys are interested in purchasing this box set, please don't forget to check out our sponsor.
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the look at this unboxing. Did you enjoy Delicious in Dungeon? Have you watched the anime or already read the manga? And do you plan on collecting it either already as single issues or this gorgeous, dare I say, delicious box set? And please leave a comment, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and stay safe out there, all you Mentees. Tik Tok Tina out.